Joined by Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A., after game 2 on Thursday, you used the words alarming and flabbergasted right here on SportsCenter to describe the Cavs defense. What words would you use for their performance tonight?
Pathetic. Very, very pathetic. Gave up 37 points in the first quarter with any degree of urgency whatsoever. I wouldn't be surprised if we did an investigation and we discovered that half the team had already made vacation reservations. I mean, it just looked that way. They were devoid of any kind of urgency whatsoever. And the New York Knicks are just playing together. I understand that they're flowing. I understand that they can serve to demoralize you. There's no way around that. But the flip side to it is you're on your home turf, and there's an incredible level of urgency that comes attached to it. And the New York Knicks just gave it to them. Brunson had his 30. Of course, Anunoby had his 21. Can't say enough about Mikal Bridges and the way that he's been playing as of late in these playoffs. He is just in his bag. He is flowing. And Landry Shamet coming off the bench and dropping 11 points in the fourth quarter. All of those things can contribute to a victory. But what possible explanation could you have if you watch some of the plays that took place as the game waned, when you saw the absence of urgency in terms of their defensive effort? It was absolutely non-existent whatsoever. They gave up. They caved. And as a result, just bring out the broomsticks. I think you saw Charles Barkley on inside the NBA and stuff like that in the immediate aftermath while the rest of the crew was on the set. He was sweeping the floors of the studio because he's bringing the brooms. He's bringing the brooms because in Cleveland, it's a mess.
It is indeed that, Stephen A. You know, we talked last night following the Oklahoma City win about the play of Jared McCain, and you mentioned Landry Shamet. He was that tonight for a Knicks team. How would you characterize the overall depth of this Knicks squad?
Well, you know what? You didn't realize how good it was. You had expectations at the beginning of the season, and then obviously Mike Brown wasn't utilizing his bench to the manner that you thought that he would. And then you had some question marks about them, and then you saw Mikal Bridges nosedive. You had some serious questions about him, but give credit where credit is due. If I was loud and making noise when Mikal Bridges was struggling, I'm damn sure going to be just as loud in praising him. He was fantastic in this game, hitting all but 3 of his shots, giving you over 20, giving you stout defense along the way, letting you know you couldn't leave him open. And then Landry Shamet has been a godsend. He has come off the bench and has just been drilling shots from long range all over the place. That has opened things up for a guy like Jalen Brunson to operate. It's opened things up for Karl Anthony Towns to be the facilitator that he is. And because it's pulling people away from the basket, it's even giving the likes of Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby room to operate on the interior, which again can serve to demoralize the Cleveland Cavaliers as it has shown. But you still don't expect a team trying to get to the NBA Finals to look so lethargic defensively. No energy whatsoever. Change has got to be coming in Cleveland. I'd be shocked if there were a Game 5 at this point. They look like they've already made their reservations for off-season vacation. They just look that way. You can see it.
When we talk about the Knicks, though, and the way that they are winning these games, the variety of players who are contributing night in and night out, the variety of ways in which we see them get the dub, 10 straight wins for this Knicks team.
Yeah.
I mean, just talk about the impressive nature of that stretch.
Well, here's what you have to look at when you think about the impressive nature. The New York Knicks came into this season with an owner in James Dolan that said we should make the NBA Finals. They had fired Tom Thibodeau, who took them within 2 games of the NBA Finals last year. So let's be real. Nothing less was going to suffice. If you lost, it had damn sure had better be in the Eastern Conference Finals. And even then, that was pushing it. But here they are within 1 game of the NBA Finals now. They were top 6 both offensively and defensively in terms of efficiency. But then when you take into account the playoffs, you go down 2-1 after 2 consecutive 1-point losses to Atlanta. And what do you do thereafter? Not only do you win 3 straight, but you're up by 47 in the first half of the closeout game in Atlanta. You go up against Philly, who has a 3-1 deficit. They overcome it against Boston, knocking off the Boston Celtics. and it's supposed to be a legitimate series. You sweep them, not just beat them. You sweep them, and you blow them out their own building in a closeout game. And now here you are having won a third straight game against a Cleveland Cavaliers team, albeit back-to-back 7-game series against Orlando and Detroit, obviously. But in the end, what it comes down to is that the Knicks are a superior team because they are a team, not a compilation of individuals, with a point guard in James Harden who can't seem to play beyond the pick and roll, with a guy in Donovan Mitchell who seems completely exasperated and exhausted and overwhelmed, with big men in Jared Allen and Evan Mobley who haven't been utilized well enough by a coach who was widely respected coming into these playoffs, and now his level of cachet has dissipated dramatically because we're seeing some of the brain fog that has taken place in terms of how he's coaching the team and how effective they have been. These are the kind of things that can happen when you're going up against a real team who can defend, who's hungry, who's talented, and could put the ball in the hole. These are the New York Knicks that we're talking about. They're the superior team, and they've made it very, very clear that when it comes to the Eastern Conference, they're about to go to the NBA Finals. This series is over.
And they're a team, Stephen A., that hasn't lost a game since Karl Anthony Towns made a cameo in The Devil Wears Prada 2. So shout out to Anne Hathaway and that good luck she's bringing this squad. Stephen A., thanks so much for the insight.
No problem.
New on SportsCenter now. Both teams during his career, and that's Amon Shumpert. Amon, plenty to unpack from this game. But with the Cavs now on the cusp of elimination, what is the biggest takeaway from your perspective of what you saw in their performance tonight?
I thought that they lacked a sense of urgency. I think that this is a back-to-the-wall style game. You let go of game one. You're coming into game three. You're trying to get your fans excited. And you're supposed to play like desperate men. Play like you haven't drank water and I don't know how long. It needed to be a desperation, and I didn't see the urgency. The biggest takeaway that I took from being able to locate times that there was no urgency was where is the transition defense for this Cavaliers team? When a person breaks past the three-point line and gets into that key situation or gets into that paint situation, there has to be two guards back. There has to be a last line of defense. I thought that they did a very poor job of saying, let's pay attention to the details and pay attention to the small mistakes, the little mistakes that led to easy buckets for the Knicks. Let's take those away in game three. I didn't see that adjustment. I didn't see the attention to detail. It was honestly a disappointing performance from the Cavs.
And you know, Shump, we can talk about Landry Shamet, and we will. He was great off the bench. But the Knicks starting lineup was dominant. Every player in double figures here. What is it about that group that has given Cleveland so many problems?
Well, what they're doing is they're changing sides of the floor. I think early on when we watched the Knicks, especially when they had problems with scoring the basketball, they had cold spells that happened. What they did was they put Karl Anthony Towns in a high post area. We put him on the sideline into a 21 action, and then there's cutting, there's movement, but the ball changes sides of the floor. And we have Jalen Brunson to have a great floor game and say, hey, anytime we aren't going to those actions, now that we have, and I've sprayed the ball out a little bit, I can get my wiggle room. I can get downhill. I can make sure that we get FGAs and FGMs rather than get us TOs. And I think that he's done a great job of just being patient, letting things come to him, and showing the Cavaliers that no matter what they throw at him, he's going to pick it apart.
All right, Amon Shumpert following the Knicks Game 3 victory. Shump, thanks for the perspective on a night the Knicks take a commanding 3-0 series lead here.